Several measures impacting the firearm owner ID card in Illinois could come up during a House Judiciary Committee today. It is Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop. Be sure to wake up with us each and every weekday morning and get the podcast where you get podcasts. Get the headlines at thecentersquare.com. So the legislature comes back today. There's a noon time for both the House and the Senate to come into session. They'll gavel in, do some points of personal privilege, gavel out, and then go into committee hearings for all throughout the afternoon. Tons of committee hearings and a whole bunch of legislation that's going to be heard in the House. There seems to be about 3 times more amount of the legislation set to be heard in the House than in the Senate. Just on my cursory review this morning. But, just going through this here, I mean, just gobs and gobs and gobs of legislation that could be heard. This is just today. This isn't for the week. This is just for today. So I'm scrolling through the list of all of the different bills that could be heard today in committees. And it's, my gosh, there's a lot. I'm not even halfway through the page scrolling. And this is the amount of stuff that could come up. Doesn't mean it's going to come up, but it could come up. So I'm going to do a search here. We're just going to search FOID, and there's 4 instances of it. All right, so 4 instances of the FOID card that could come up today for consideration. Let's take a look at some of those. One of them is from State Representative Daniel Didich, House Bill 19, and what it does is it's labeled as the FOID and Criminal CD Flamethrower. What does it say? It amends the FOID Card Act, requires a person to have a currently valid firearm owner's identification card issued in his or her name by the Illinois State Police in order to acquire or possess a flamethrower. It exempts military, law enforcement, and other specified persons. It defines flamethrower, and it amends the criminal code and so on. So it provides that it's a class 4 felony to deliver a flamethrower to a person incidental to a sale without withholding delivery of the flamethrower for at least 72 hours after application for its purchase has been made. So if you want to go get a flamethrower, apparently Daniel Didich wants you to have a FOID card and also a waiting period, 72 hours. 72-hour waiting period for a flamethrower. Another measure, State Representative Maura Hirschauer has a measure we've seen before. This is House Bill 3692, and it involves fingerprints for FOID cards. So it amends the FOID Card Act, provides that each applicant for the issuance or renewal, rather than only the issuance of a firearm owner ID card, shall, rather than may, provide a full set of the applicant's fingerprints in electronic formats to the Illinois State Police. So, prohibits a live scan fingerprint vendor from charging more than $30, so it sets the fees there. So essentially, we've seen this pop up before, and if this ultimately passes, you're going to ask for law-abiding people who go through the process of getting a FOID card to provide their fingerprints. Something that's done for certain jobs, sure, okay, and security, and law enforcement, things like that, okay. You might have to provide fingerprints and background checks and such, but for just a regular law-abiding person who wants to keep a firearm in their home for protection, again, a well-regulated militia being necessary for the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. I think some people are likely to argue requiring law-abiding citizens who aren't criminals, not arrested, to provide fingerprints, something that people who are arrested and charged with crimes do, and they're put into the criminal database. Asking them to do that, I imagine people are going to argue that that's an infringement. So this is an issue that's going to be possibly before a judiciary committee today in Illinois, in the House, later on this afternoon. So we'll be watching that measure as well pretty closely here. Let's see what else we've got lined up on the FOID card front. Lisa Davis has a measure about FOID non-violent felony. This could come up in the House Judiciary Committee. Let's read through this one. It says, that the Firearm Owner ID Card Act is amended, requires each applicant for a FOID card to submit evidence to the Illinois State Police that the applicant has not been convicted of a felony, unless the applicant's been granted a certificate of relief from disabilities, in which case the applicant shall submit a certified copy of the certificate of relief along with his or her application. Defines the term forcible felony and allows the Illinois State Police to deny an application for or revoke and seize a firearm owner's ID card if the person is or was convicted of a felony, unless the offense was not a forcible felony and the person has received a certificate of relief from disabilities. So another measure impacting the FOID card and who could possibly have their FOID card or have a FOID card revoked. So that's up for consideration in the House Judiciary Committee. Now, I want to be sure to make this clear. Just because a bill has been put into committee doesn't mean it's going to be heard in that committee when the committee's scheduled. It could mean that, the legislator says, the bill's not ready yet. We're not even going to hear it. Or the legislator's absent and they're not going to be able to discuss the bill. Happens all the time. Bills in committee sometimes just don't get heard. But they do have a deadline for Friday to get bills out of committee. So that's another measure that could pop up. Then we've got a Republican measure here in the House Judiciary Committee from State Representative C.D. Davidsmeyer, House Bill 1318. What this does, it amends the Firearms Owner ID Card Act, provides a firearm owner's identification card shall expire on the cardholder's birthday, occurring immediately after the 10-year period from the date of issuance. It amends the Firearm Concealed Carry Act, provides that a concealed carry license shall expire on the licensee's birthday, occurring immediately after the 5-year period of the date of issuance. So essentially just lining up the FOID card expiration dates with an individual's birthday. You've got a lot of different things you've got to, make sure that you hit those deadlines, right? 2 years in a row, I'll fully admit, I neglected to update my license plates. And then it wasn't until a friend said, "Yo, Bishop, your license plate's expired." And I'm like, what? The same thing happened last year. I forgot to update my license plate whenever September came around. I wasn't thinking about it. It's not when my birthday is. I've got a driver's license that's getting ready to expire here for my birthday. I got to go get that renewed. And I know it expires on my birthday, so I need to go get it renewed before my birthday. So maybe, there could be some interesting conversation about that bill that's in the House Judiciary Committee. So these are just a few of the bills that are going to be possibly heard today in various committees, and there's tons of other things that are going to be popping off as well. Obviously, with that Friday deadline, makes things interesting for the State House when they get stuff together to move forward, advance legislation, and possibly get these things on the House floor where they will then vote on them and have debate about them. But that's just a small portion of the just mountain of bills that could be heard today at the State House. If you want this kind of reporting regularly, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell with the Center Square here on YouTube. Get the newsletter in your inbox. Go to thecentersquare.com/Illinois. Hit the subscribe button. Get the newsletter, and it can be in your inbox. And if you can't be with us each and every weekday morning here live for Illinois in Focus, you can get the podcast. Just search Illinois in Focus, and you'll find it.